Hi and welcome to day 1 of week 8 of training cycle 2 of 2021. Grind continues. The volume is back up, the weights are even heavier, and one day has gone by of this new week with increased volume, and it's already really hard. So I haven't been hit by the residual fatigue yet, but I will be soon though. I'll probably will be feeling it by like Thursday, Friday. Saturday's a lower volume day, but still be feeling it by that point. I'm gonna get back on track with the diet. This morning, or yesterday actually, I ate so much food. It was incredible, and I weighed 79 kilos today. So the programmed body weight for this week, I need to average 78.7 kilos. So that means that, if I hit like 79, that's very ideal. But anything that is 78.7 and above, at least as a weekly average, is acceptable right now. And the previous 2 weeks, I've been weighing in at in the low 77s. But all I need to do now is increase my calories massively, increase my, I don't purposely increase my salt intake, but when you eat more calories, you're going to get more salt in. But I just look at how many meals can I add? Like, can I add an evening meal? How much bigger can I make my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner? Can I sneak any calories in any other way? These are the kind of factors that I think about. I never think about limiting physical activity. I always think in terms of how much food am I eating total? What am I doing right now, and how can I increase it? Yeah, I'm a little congested. It's always about progress and finding a way to make it happen. Because food is a tricky one. Eating when you're full is really, really hard. And I do believe that gaining weight is more difficult than losing weight, at least for me. And trust me, I have experience. In a 3-day period, I've lost 4 kilos for fights and for competitions. So I know what it is to lose weight. I've also done recompositions while I was growing. So I got way leaner, lost like 2 kilos, and got way leaner in the course of several months while I was growing and developing. I believe I was 14 at the time, and I got really, really lean. I do believe that was probably the leanest, if not the second leanest physique I've ever had. So I know what it is to lose weight. I know what it is to cut, and it's not fun because you go in, you eat, your lunch or whatever, and you're still hungry afterwards, but you can't continue eating. You can't satiate yourself, because that satiation, that means that now you're at maintenance or above. And it's the same thing for bulking. You have to eat beyond. I mean, unless you have some weird appetite. Most people's appetites put them in a maintenance kind of state, right? Most of our appetites keep us at a similar body weight. Some people, they have a real problem and they gain a lot of weight, and very few people lose weight or maintain a very low body weight. I'm closer to the hard gainer type person in terms of appetite, and it has nothing to do at all with metabolism. Is 100% appetite related. And I do eat a lot of food. I eat more than pretty much everyone I know. But that doesn't really make me special, since I don't know anyone who weighs, 100 kilos and who does cardio every day. The only person that I know who is like that does eat significantly more than me. So yeah, that will be one person that eats way more than I do. But it's really about the consistency of the calories, not about eating extreme amounts in one sitting. It's all about through the days, the weeks, the months, how many calories are you eating in total versus how much are you burning, right? There's really no magic to gaining weight. There are a couple little tricks you can have short term, but long term, if you want to gain 10 kilos, you got to gain 10 kilos. You can't just magically put that weight on. That represents, well, the mathematics aren't really this simple. and metabolic processes can't just be, made into mathematical equations, but basically a kilo of fat is 7,700 calories, right? So if you want to gain, 10 kilos, well, technically, you're not going to gain 10 kilos of fat, you're going to gain muscle's going to burn, you're going to have you might have a higher thermic effect of food since you're eating more, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, 10 kilos of fat, that's 10 times 7,700, right? So what would that be? God, 77,000? I think that would be 77,000 calories surplus to gain 10 kilos. And so that means that every day for, like 77 days would be a bit extreme to do it in. But let's say for 77 days, you ate an entire 1,000 calories above what you used to do, right? Every single day for 77 days without increasing your activity, that would put on 10 kilos of weight on you, most likely, give or take a couple kilos, because we can never track calories perfectly. And for the record, I don't count calories myself. I'm in school, I'm at home, parents make food, school makes food. It's really impossible to track, and tracking like 2 or 3 meals or 1 meal a day doesn't really give any benefits. So for people like me, I just look at what's my body weight average over different time spans, and how full am I getting every time I'm eating. So for example, last 2 weeks I've lost a lot of weight, and that's because I stopped eating until I really didn't want to eat anymore. I just ate until I was full, and then I stopped, and boom, lost weight. So now I'm eating more, pretty much every single meal I'm eating more than what I want to eat, and that's why the weight is coming back on. But it's going to take multiple days before that weight starts transforming from bloat to actual tissue, and it's going to take many weeks until that tissue is measurable and noticeable. But that's just the way that muscle and fat and bone and whatever works. It takes time to build these things up, and if you're natural, there's no way you're putting on, kilos of muscle a month. I mean, if you're a beginner and you're lucky and you're in a good situation, you might put on a kilo a month of muscle. But trust me, guys, if you put on 5 kilos from training, for a year, that isn't 5 kilos of muscle. That could be fat, that could be partly bone weight, although our bones don't really weigh much, so probably shouldn't put that in the calculations. That could be water weight, but it's mainly just fat and muscle. It's very difficult to gain. What I'm really trying to say here is it's very difficult to gain pure muscle and without any form of fat gain whatsoever. That's basically impossible when we extrapolate it out to many, many kilos of muscle, right? That works if you want to gain 2 kilos of muscle. Say you do like a 10-week crazy block of training volume, and you really take care of your diet, keep it nice and clean, and keep it at maintenance calories. Once again, congestion. Make sure that you really massage your muscles all the time. Make sure that you sleep a lot. Well, maybe you might gain 2 kilos in those 10 weeks of muscle with no fat. All right, fine. Muscle, by the way. But what happens if you want to gain like 15 kilos of muscle, right? You're a teenager, you're still growing, so you have a lot of potential. Like me, for example, my skeleton isn't fully formed. So I'm going to pretty soon have more space, and hormonally going to have more potential for muscle mass. So right now, if you freeze my development, I don't know how heavy I can get in terms of muscle mass. Probably like, with this bone structure, maybe 95, 90 kilos at a decently lean body weight. But if I continue developing and growing, we could get to a point where our ceiling gets higher and higher and higher. Like a 2-meter guy, for example, if you're 2 meters tall, you're going to be able to hold on to a lot more kilos of muscle than a guy who's like 170 centimeters tall. And part of that is just kind of, it doesn't really have so much to do with hormones as it does to like how much space you have in your body, basically. And it's really all about ratios, although a smaller person proportionately can gain more muscle, like That's why a smaller person can look more like a meatball. But then again, a taller person like me, 181 centimeters, really I'm average height, but whatever, I'm going to call myself tall for the sake of it. A taller person, especially really tall people, those people can gain a lot more total muscle. So we need to think about these things, and general rules like you can only gain 10 kilos of muscle with training natural. That's just silly, and that doesn't work for everyone. People who are incredibly short will absolutely gain less than that, and people who are incredibly tall can probably gain more than twice, maybe 3 or 4 times that amount if they are really tall. So and it depends also how skinny you are starting out. And it also depends if you're a teenager, because teenagers and preteens, you guys, if you're like 14 listening to this right now, you don't really count because your body is nowhere near to being fully developed. So your potential with your current like state of like your current hormonal state, your current bone structure, your current muscle fiber distribution, you don't have anywhere near as high a ceiling as you're going to have in a couple of years. And this is also why you shouldn't this is also why you shouldn't cut as a teenager unless you're really fat, is because you can shut down certain hormonal factors, and therefore it can affect your growth. And people think lifting affects your growth. It really doesn't at all, unless you do something really, really incredibly stupid. The level of injury, by the way, that you would have to sustain to completely stunt your growth is pretty horrendous. So, yeah, if you're worried about lifting stunting your growth, just stop it. It's silly. I've probably gotten like more than 10 centimeters taller since I started lifting. I'm in my late teens now, still growing slowly, very slowly, but I'm growing. So this whole spinal compression, makes you shorter thing that's just stupid. If anything, it's going to make you taller in the long run because you're going to have more bone density in your spine. And so when you get like really old, when you're 80 years old, you're going to lose less of your height due to your bones, corroding basically. And yeah. So if you want to be tall, probably compressing your spine is probably a good thing. What is not good is compressing it in weird angles. That's when we start to head into issues pretty quickly, right? Deadlifting with a rounded back, shit like I usually do. Now you're getting into dangerous territory. However, much more dangerous, in my opinion, is what was I going to say? Is not lifting at all, because now you have a weak body, and trust me, I'd rather be strong and injured than weak and injured. Because a stronger body has more total capacity to just take stuff, right? You throw a strong person down the stairs and you throw a weak person down the stairs. Like whatever, 7, 8 times out of 10, the stronger person is going to, fare better there. You hit a person who's really strong, you hit a person who's really weak. 9 times out of 10, the really strong person is he's gonna do better. This is why men don't fight women in fighting sports. Muscle mass, bone density, these things matter for injury prevention, long term especially. Because it's all fun and games. Like me, for example, just lifting a bunch of weights, trying to get stronger, trying to make progress. But pretty soon I'm going to be old. And, time flies by. We've all heard it. We all know it. We're all scared of it. But it's going to happen to us. And pretty soon we're all going to be like 65. And then the question is, did you do your lifting all those years? Because if you didn't, now you got way weaker bones, way less muscle, right? You probably have a worse quality of life in general. And what happens now? And actually, you can actually do less work if you have less muscle and less like bone density, less everything when you start to get really old. So an old person who's been lifting weights their whole life is so much better off than someone who hasn't. And it isn't even just about the physical, like truly physical things, like moving things around and not getting injured and being able to be useful. It's not just about that. There are other factors to consider. We know that strength training reduces diabetes rates dramatically. It reduces dementia dramatically. All right? It reduces cancer dramatically. You're twice as likely to you're two times less likely to contract cancer if you lift weights, and you're 2 times likelier to survive cancer if you get it. So if you do the math on that, strength training, especially like real proper strength training with weights and really actually building proper strength, not just building your biceps and chest, but actually building your whole body, that total muscle mass foundation, that can really, really, really help you, help protect you against cancer. Yeah, and what did I mention? I mentioned the diabetes. There's some other like real bad chronic stuff, chronic illnesses and other illnesses that we can prevent with strength training. We get a stronger immune system, for example. But just overall, strength training is fantastic for you, and you don't have to do it at that maximum level to where your life revolves around it. Similarly, like mine is almost starting to get to that point. I'm going to school, I'm doing a couple other things with my life as well, but this is starting to become really, really important. And really what it comes down to is I want to win a national championship in Taekwondo. And for that, I need to go up like basically 2 weight classes from when I fought last, because with my body, it isn't working. I'm not tall enough to have the reach advantage, and I'm not fast, so I don't really have any of those advantages. What I do have is cardio. I built that up over a couple of years. I used to be really bad in the cardio department, but the older I get, the larger the gap between me and the competition comes when it comes to speed. By the way, that was a terrible good morning, I know. This one was better. Yeah, so I'm pretty slow twitch kind of guy, at least somewhere in the mid-range, and historically I haven't even had the best cardio. So the odds have kind of been stacked against me when it comes to physical attributes, but recently I've kind of figured out where I have the most potential, and I do feel like that is total muscle mass, strength, which that will probably carry over into probably helping my explosiveness a tad, but more importantly, my cardiovascular system. I want to really invest into building a very strong body and a body that can work very long, very hard. Right? What is that? That is strength training and cardio. If I can do that, then I don't need to be as fast as my opponents. Right? I need to be pretty much as fast. I can be 90% as fast. But what I can do is I can go after them. I can chase them down, hunt them down, hit them, kick them. And what's going to happen is they are going to get tired. And when they get tired, those fast twitch muscles don't count. And that's where I come in and overpower them. Guys, if you really watch through this whole video, you're pretty incredible. And you probably have a brain tumor right now, because I'm very, very tired. I'm on 4.5 hours of sleep. I can barely think straight, but I'm still going to post this on YouTube. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.